High Wheaton shoves that right over to the Lions half. Looks like this one's going in. Oh, are you kidding me? Don't we're behind. We're gonna see the barrage. The barrage.
Oh my gosh, Nico is just dominating right now.
What a play!
That's disgusting.
Oh my gosh,
that was disgusting.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to some Tuesday night Rainbow Six Siege. Your Carthage Firebirds playing the University of Texas at Dallas tonight, the Comets. I'm your host, the Bearded Man, and I'm joined by the wonderful Toner. How you doing, Toner?
I'm doing absolutely wicked today. It's a great night. It's a
definitely.
snowy night, though.
A little bit, yeah, I know. We're having some more weather situations, a big ice storm coming in tomorrow, but esports does not stop for the weather. I'm excited. I know some people's classes were canceled. Unfortunately, mine weren't. But that's tomorrow. Right now, we got a whole lot of Siege coming out tonight. Hopefully not as much as we've seen from the past weeks. You know, week one, the Firebirds winning map one, demolishing the other team on map one. Map two going a little bit back and forth. And then map three not doing so hot. Unfortunately, losing game one of their season. Now, last week, winning and destroying basically in map one. It was pretty back and forth, but I mean, ultimately they had a really good lead. Map two, very, very much back and forth, going near, I believe, round 13, which was close to 15, almost at that cutoff. And then map three, being down, it was 6-2. And ultimately we were kind of heartbroken at that point because that is just something you just never want to be losing by that many points because it is first to 7. And then despite everything that we were saying, despite any sort of predictions, Firebirds winning 6 games in a row to come back and win map 3, ultimately winning game 2 of their series, was a phenomenal game last week. And I'm hoping that we have an equally phenomenal but not as lengthy game tonight. I'm hoping, we just go into the maps 1 and 2, and then that's it. I love to see if the Firebirds don't have to lead into a map 3, because ultimately it proves our dominance. However, not always a bad thing to go into game 3. What do you about, or map 3? What do you think?
Oh, honestly, I love watching more Siege. I would love to see it go to a map 3. It just gets the nerves going. Everything's flying. Like, that's where Siege lies. That's where the game is just the most fun.
Oh, definitely.
But yeah, I mean, it would be kind of nice to get a little bit early to go and just enjoy the snow and make a little snowman. But you never know.
Yeah, but
it's gonna be a fun night.
More Siege tonight means more of us and more with you. So I'm always happy to do it. Now, we do have, once again, it is going to be best of 3 tonight. Firebirds are going to be attacking first on all 3 maps, starting with Bank, which is a map that we are now seeing for the first time. We haven't seen it. I mean, we saw it a little bit last season. Bank is not that often played. I really enjoy it, though. What about you?
I do not. I hate Bank. I hate it so much. I remember when I first started playing, and I just don't like it. I really don't like the windows. I don't like it that much. But it's interesting. There's a very big main open lobby format that you have. There's going to be 3 floors to it, so pretty standard. And a really, really unique type of basement, which I really like. And second floor has a lot of skyline going into it, so there's a lot of vertical play. So yeah, it's an interesting map, not my favorite, but I will still play it. It's gonna be a more, I'd say, more anxiety building map.
Yes,
I'd
definitely.
say. I mean, with windows, with skylight, with everything else, it's a weird. It's a weird game, a weird map.
But ultimately, it is going to be very exciting. But before we start, let's meet our starting lineup. I love that. That was a great video. I think that perfectly describes just how dominant each and every one of our players definitely is. Especially
and so silly too.
It's always silly, but especially under Coach Wes, he really, really knows this game. He turns it into a science, and it is great to see. Really, really great. I think the Firebirds really lucky to have him. We always talking strategy. Knowing what's up when it's up. And we're always when we're out there in between our breaks and stuff. Oh, there's always strategy being talked. Always a lot of coaching to be had. Definitely. Always making sure to keep it interesting and let us know where we need to fix where we do. But map 1, like we were saying before the video, on Bank. What are you expecting us to be really doing during that, especially starting off on attack?
Yeah, mainly I say it like we say with most maps. The name of the game you want to push. I'd say separating yourselves in 2 to 3 different groups and pushing the objective at the same time and just moving it. First clear. If you're going basement, clear first floor. It doesn't hurt to do it. Put 1 garage, and then work from there and try and squeeze the defenders back in. Try and take out the roamers. Just go objective by objective as quickly and efficiently as possible. That's really the name of the game for this one. Especially, it's going to be. For the attacking side, if they can take control of skylight for things like on second floor and on first floor as well, it's just going to help out so much. There's so many angles, so many how do you say, so much spacing that you're already given that the defenders can't really take that because it's on the roof. Defenders can't go there. So I said taking control of that, making sure you have those lines of sight so it's a clear, easy push onto the sights. That's really going to be the name of the game.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
hopefully we see that on attack for defense. It's pretty much just trying to make sure that you're not in those getting picked off from those sight lines. And just holding really well. I mean, it's a great roaming map.
Oh, yeah.
So it's gonna be fun.
I'm really excited to see just how the pick and bans are gonna be, because this is definitely a unique map in the sense of destruction isn't always the name of the game. So we might be seeing some roamers banned. I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, I think guaranteed we're gonna see a jackal ban. I don't know so much about Thatcher. I would be surprised if there's a Thatcher ban, but we might see bans like NECC, or we might see Vigil or Cav, some of those hardcore roamers.
I'd say maybe even Kali too.
Kali would be a pretty good, especially with the skylights and being able to use that lance to disable any sort of anti-breaching gadgetry. But for the Comets, first attacking banning Dokkaebi.
I really like that one.
Yeah, I think Dokkaebi compared to Jackal is definitely a good ban. I think because Dokkaebi, similar situation. Oh, we're seeing both of them getting banned.
I like both.
I think that means
no winter.
that means that if you're roaming, you're gonna have a really good time. But Dokkaebi and Jackal being able to basically just totally counter any sort of roamers. And seeing a Mira ban on top of it, very solid. Kaid is probably gonna be the next one. Maybe a Jaeger, or maybe a Valkyrie. It's probably one of those three.
I say Valkyrie. Valkyrie is extremely powerful, especially in that lobby area, because everyone knows where that lobby cam is. But Val cams, you can place it anywhere in that room, and it's just like, okay, I gotta take like 20 seconds to like carefully inspect. There we are.
There's the
every
Valkyrie
single
ban.
pixel to find that camera.
Yeah, definitely. No anti wall. No anti-hard breach.
Yeah.
So no, we are seeing Kaid being played, and immediately as I say that, we do see somebody insta-locking Kaid.
Which is great for
yeah.
basement.
Yes.
I mean, there are so many hatches, and it really helps making it so the attackers have less ways to push. And there's two stairwells they can go down, and also garage and that little dirt pit that you'll see in a minute.
Definitely.
So a little bit less, or how do I say? It's tighter gaps to really pushing in. So it's a scary sight.
Definitely. But the Firebirds are going to be on attack at first, and it looks like the Comets are going to be defending. Firebirds having a pretty interesting composition, running Thatcher, Iana, Hibana, Nomad, and Ying, swapping Zero for that Iana, using that attacker repick. I think Zero's a really good choice on this map. Very excited to see his upcoming rework especially. But ultimately, Iana is going to be really good for being able to run in. But for the Comets, they're defending composition, running a Kaid, Goyo, Vigil, Smoke, and Jaeger. Jaeger is almost a guaranteed on this site, especially. Those grenades and smoke grenades and such are just such a powerful thing to have, and when you have Jaeger, you don't really have to worry about that. But Vigil on that roaming, what do you expect?
It's gonna be tough to track him out, especially without a Jackal and without a Dokkaebi. It's gonna be extremely tough to find him. So it's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be a tough one.
I mean, we are seeing here Quizby slowly but surely clearing out that second floor, that stock market office. The trading room, definitely a very popular place for roamers to be hiding. However, we do see, based on our spectator vision, the Comets really not playing that far out with their roamers. We do see the roamers are stationed on like second floor. We can see there's a smoke in the skylight lobby. But will the Firebirds clearing out that second floor might be a really good pick or really good decision in their part. Making sure they can slowly but surely just kind of shrink downwards, ultimately forcing everybody to be on that basement site.
It just makes everything safer.
Definitely. Now, we do see it looks like the Firebirds might already know somebody is there in that square skylight. It's called Square.
On blue?
It's called Square. I'm trying to describe that lobby. It's weird that it's just called Square. That's the call
open?
out, but everybody.
Oh, open area?
Yes, this square lobby area under the skylight.
I usually just call
It's
it
known
open.
by many names, but the official is square, which I just think is so weird. sometimes.
Square.
But we did see. I mean, we're seeing the Firebirds breaching through that second floor, through that hatch. An interesting choice, wasting a hard breach on. Oh, sorry, my mistake. That is the first floor. So they already have a hatch open onto one of the secondary rooms onto that basement site. Really good choice here. Ice Helix charging up that grenade, hopefully taking out that bulletproof camera. Unfortunately, not able to, but trying to get that side
There we
shot.
go.
Finally making it. We do see the smoke grenades are being popped onto that blue staircase because smoke is stationed there. But the Firebirds are probably not going to let it cause any issues because they already have that hatch open, especially the hatch into the vault. That is a hatch that I think is underutilized in a lot of plays because that allows you to get behind most of the defenses that the defenders are going to be putting in place because nobody really expects that to be the place people enter. But because we're in that higher level of competitive play, I'm expecting to see that a little bit more. Ice Helix using that Iana drone to really jump in, get a little bit recon onto that site. Twan using the Ying charge, running in, getting him pick on Kaid right off the bat. Quizby getting a refrag there. Double kill, unfortunately, from the Comets on the Firebirds, but Quizby has already planted the site. The rest of the Firebirds are going to really focus on defending there. Goyo being lit up a little bit, getting a triple kill, unfortunately. It is now Quizby and Xerxes remaining. Quizby trying to do a little bit of kill, quad kill from that Comet player. Earthquake, definitely a force the Firebirds are going to have to be careful with. Just running around, trying to find that diffuser. But now that the diffuser is being disabled and Xerxes is down, so unfortunately, I just saw that. Fortunately, Firebirds not able to take round one, but they definitely know what to expect now. What did you think?
I say a little bit of slower of a push. We've seen this a few weeks ago. Like it was the last 10 seconds, then they all dropped down. It's just like, it wasn't enough inform. Oh dear, is someone gone?
I'm not quite sure. They might be able to rejoin. But
yeah.
So.
Oh, there we are. Yeah. So basically, it's just like because we saw there they dropped down vaults and then got one kill, but then immediately there was another Comet right behind there. There was opportunity when we got the refrag. But I just don't think there was enough intel pushing into sight that it would be a good push. It was the last 10 seconds. It was kind of like, okay, let's see if we can make this happen. I say just give yourself a little bit more time, 30 seconds, push from a few other locations. But overall, it was a really solid push and a great clear on second floor and first floor. But there was a lot of time that got killed.
Oh, yeah, definitely. But I think the Firebirds now kind of having almost as a warm-up, you know.
Yeah.
They warm up before the game, but when you're actually playing, you do have that little bit of a steps to take to kind of really put you in that game mode mindset. But looks like the Comets still on defense on that second floor objective site, running Solis, Thorn, Wamai, Castle, and Thunderbird. A pretty interesting composition, especially since they have no wall denial. They have no way of defending those hard breach or those reinforced walls going into that square room.
Yeah, which is extremely integral to this site. So hopefully the Firebirds can take advantage of that.
Definitely, especially since the Firebirds running Hibana and Ace. They're going to be able to open it up, hopefully through that square skylight, and then just be able to kind of hold an angle onto site directly. But Comets might have a strategy that just really doesn't need to worry about that. They could be playing off angles to the point where they don't have to be in direct line of sight to hold the site, you know?
Yeah, I think really the Castle and Thorn traps is going to make it really tough from the other side, so the Firebirds do take advantage of, oh dear.
Yeah, Twan unfortunately putting a little bit of damage into Earthquake, but unfortunately falling. Now Knock is a pretty good person, you know, really being able to sneak up on the defenders. However, not a total loss, unfortunately, for the Firebirds. A little bit more intel, I'm sure, was gained. Doing a decent amount of damage to Earthquake, especially. You know, I'm excited to see what we have in store with these 4 remaining players. They're taking a little bit slow, just kind of making sure they take it. Unfortunately, though, Earthquake taking out Xerxes. 2 kills down on the round, and the Firebirds have just now entering. And Teshi falls to Skelly P. Firebirds, this is weird. They're getting taken out one by one. Fortunately, though, Ice Helix taking out the castle on the Comets. But a 2 against 4 is not odds that I'd like to see against your Firebirds.
Yeah, for sure. It's going to put them at a severe disadvantage. However, there still is a minute left, and Firebirds do have a really nice sight line, but there is a roamer roaming around right below, so hopefully Ice Helix notices that.
Definitely. Now, we did see Ice Helix spraying through the wall, getting a down
There we
and
go.
finishing him off, evening the odds just slightly, or slightly closer to fully evening the odds, I should say. However, as you said, the roamer is, we can see beneath them. So hopefully the Firebirds can kind of really watch that out, especially since there's two of them. We do see two Comets taking a back sight point, or a flank on our attackers. Ice Helix now, the remaining Firebird, will we see another Ice Helix 1v3 win? We have seen that in the past. Taking somebody out, getting a triple kill there. Will we see Ice Helix make the ace? However, the timer is going to be the biggest threat right now. We do have, Ice Helix does have the diffuser, and the timer is slowly out, is running down. We're going to hopefully see a plant very soon, because Ice Helix is finally planting. I was very scared there that he was going to miss it. But planting on.
Oh, dear.
I couldn't even describe what was happening because so much happened there. We saw him standing on the desk trying to make sure that any sort of impact grenade or C4 was not able to kill him. However, because the impact grenade opened it up, we did see that Comet defender lay down a suppressive fire through the table, unfortunately taking Ice Helix out. And I think it comes back to, like you've said previously, waiting until those last seconds are not ideal.
I think, yeah, this time around, though, is a little bit different because Firebirds were a little bit more aggressive. Just got picked off one by one, unfortunately. It was just a really great defense from the Comets, I'd say, on that part. Firebirds did complete their objective. They opened up that wall and had great lines of sight. Ice Helix got a couple kills, and it was good, but just I think just getting picked off a little bit early, it really just hurt our momentum going forward. Let free reign, let that Solace. Basically, we couldn't take care of her, so it was kind of a hope that everything would be good once we got on site.
Oh, definitely. I'm hoping that the Firebirds kind of come back and kind of fix what's missing, because we saw there on their push before half the team was in, they were already down 2 players, so they really have to be watching these angles. You know, they got to make sure that they got to assume that somebody's always going to be around that corner, and hopefully we see an improvement here. But on round 3, it looks like the Comets are going into that staff office area, that first floor site. Really, really good choice. Really good point for the Firebirds to attack, because there's several angles you can attack from. You can take the second floor and push down. You could take the basement and push up, or you could take the side and push in through the back alley. But the Firebirds running Ace, Buck, Zofia, Iana, and Knock again, whereas the Comets running Maestro, Alibi, Malusi, Castle, and Thunderbird. That Thunderbird pick, I think, is also a really good choice. We do see Tuan using Knock's silent step ability, basically. The hidden device, I forget the exact term for it, but being able to walk really quietly and being able to jam any sort of electronics in the area and become invisible for that. Gonna hopefully be able to push in through that garage kind of undetected, especially seeing that the Comets don't really have any sort of dedicated roamer. We do now see the castle getting lit up and downed. Not quite sure which of the Firebirds was able to be the one to blame for that, but they're not out though. Firebirds doing enough damage to knock him down, but not finish the kill. And ultimately, that's going to be bad, because one of the Comets could get a revive there and bring them back into the fight. Now, Xerxes, seeing that shield, they're going to throw a grenade, hopefully destroy that shield.
Oh,
unfortunately, missing it though. Going to be trying a second shot there.
There we go.
Xerxes getting the grenade kill there, and Ice Helix finishing off that castle. Not quite sure if that was a bleed out or a last-second shot through the walls, but ultimately that is 2 really good picks in favor of the Firebirds. Really smart push here, however, a little bit slow. They kind of need to speed it up. We did see that Alibi taking a little bit of a weird position, and I think it's just playing those hologram. Kind of pretend you're a hologram so that nobody kind of expects to shoot you, and then you kind of pop out, and it was like, hey, I've been here the whole time. And
yeah, that's why I love Alibi, is that it's a complete mind game, and there's so many fun things that you can do with her.
Oh, definitely. Nice Ice Helix taking that second floor once again, trying to open up some angles, open up some really good holes to kind of shoot the defenders through. Oh, that was, I was going to say, we did see Teshi looking through that hatch, finding the Maestro, I think was on cameras there, and just making sure that it was a sitting duck in that case. Definitely not a good look for the Comet player, but probably just was not aware of that. Not a good positioning there, no cover from above. But your Firebirds kind of pushing in at the last second once again. Unfortunately, Ice Helix taken out of the picture, but Xerxes finishing off Earthquake, immediately going to a 2v1. Firebirds need to plant. Teshi needs to plant. Having the diffuser finally planting, and we do see Xerxes kind of covering that angle. But unfortunately, seeing that grenade kill, almost getting a kill there, the Comets could have had a good time.
Yeah, that would have been really bad for the Firebirds if that impact nade killed them.
Oh, yeah. But we're seeing Xerxes holding a really, really good angle, protecting that diffuser. Now seeing the movement, making sure that they call it out. Teshi now holding the opposite angle, watching Xerxes' back, watching the angles that Xerxes cannot see. Really, really good teamwork from these two. We're seeing exactly what we want. We're going to see Bryce try and go through the wall, but Xerxes was ready for it, taking out the remaining defender and ultimately winning this round for the Firebirds. I think that was a great push. Again, a little bit slow there, saving it for the last 10 seconds or so. Hard to say what's happening.
But this time, Firebirds had a great advantage going into it, and that's the big difference. And I think the best part about it is that they use great vertical play, and they just made their way around. They got all the lines of sight that they needed, and they got their objectives done, and they're just like, yeah, we're clear to go in and plant. We got this, and that was just really well done.
It really was, and especially Teshi and Xerxes holding those angles perfectly.
Oh yeah,
having one person watch the back of the other person, making sure that you have 180 degrees watched, and then the other person has the other 180 degrees, allowing for just a full 360 degree of coverage. And I mean, that's how math works. And it works out perfectly. We saw that the Comet, the remaining defender, running through that wall, but Xerxes already expected it, probably using that audio cue to kind of expect those and anticipate those footsteps. Beautifully done. I wish they had a little bit more time, when you're planting with those last seconds.
Oh, yeah.
Had that grenade killed Teshi when he was planting, might not have been a good thing,
Yeah.
It really could have been a bad time, because if the defender, if you're in that overtime plant, so when the attackers are planting the objective, as that I believe it's like a 7-second plant time is going, they have all that time to kind of, the clock will stop if the game clock is up. It will stop, as we saw. It'll freeze at 0 while they're planting. But if they stop planting for any reason, then the defenders win. And we've seen that from the Firebirds time and time again, that it's kind of, you're planting in that time, and it's good that you're planting, but you need to be careful, because one small mistake and suddenly you're
for sure
losing the round entirely.
And I mean, right there, it was like 15 health left on I think it was either Teshi. Teshi planting. Yeah, it's just like, one little step to the right or the left, and it would have been done for, and then there's nothing you can do about it. So, but it won the round.
Yeah,
it's awesome.
And the split push from the Firebirds too, especially Xerxes taking that trading room area, or not the trading room area, but the stock. Yeah, the trading room area. Trying to take that second floor site right above the actual site. Was ideal. We saw the grenade, especially taking out that shield.
Yeah.
And oddly enough, the defender just not noticing it or not missing it. You missed the first one, but the fact that you got the kill with the second one redeems that miss in the first place, because taking out the shield and the person is the best scenario you can have in a situation like that. But ultimately, we are seeing, like I was saying, the slower pushes, and you just kind of have to be a little bit more careful using intel. We saw one of the Firebirds peeking in and seeing the alibi there front and center, and you got to be careful with that. You got to kind of realize that Iana could genuinely be real. It doesn't necessarily have to be the hologram. And when you're at a distance, it's really hard to see that. But I'm curious what to see. However, I will say this: we do have one of the Comets having a quick little technical issue. So we are going to take a quick break while that gets solved. It should hopefully be only a few seconds while they reconnect, but we don't know how long it's going to be. So we'll see you in a bit. Welcome back, everybody. The technical difficulties have hopefully been fixed there. Our the Comet player, who unfortunately had a little bit of difficulty with the game, is back and probably better than ever. Hopefully the connection continues, but the Firebirds right now down a single round. It is 2-1 on map 1 for the Firebirds, or for the Comets, I should say. Firebirds just needing to take this one round. However, the last round that we saw the Firebirds winning, really an improvement of those first two. I think they're finally figuring out that strategy, that rhythm that they need to succeed. And we're seeing, we've seen in the past weeks, as they play more and more, they're getting more and warmed up. They're finding that rhythm, especially on a map that they're not too familiar with. But the Comets now in round 4, going basement once again. The Firebirds kind of struggling with that. What do you expect to be happening this round?
I say really just improvement on the first time the Firebirds push, is that pushing from different angles. And I want to see a little bit more going towards that garage area and maybe dirt too, because it all pretty much started at second floor, took a lot of time, going to first floor took a lot of time, and then going down the hatches. I say have 2 people already started like on that basement level. Have 3 people clear it out on that second floor, go first floor, meet yourself in the middle with, give it 45 seconds to spare.
Definitely. And that is, we were talking about that during the break. That is the key to success, is that time. And when you have no time at the end, you can't waste any moment to, hold an angle for a split second later. You need to be having that diffuser planted, hopefully with ample time, just in case something goes wrong. Now, Firebirds once again on attack, running Thatcher, Twitch, Hibana, Iana, and Ying. Whereas, I know. So every time I say that, I love it. And the Comets running Kaid, Goyo, Vigil, Smoke, and Jaeger. Once again, very similar to what we saw in that first point. Vigil against Iana. What do you expect from that really weird combo, or matchup, I should say?
Yeah, I just say if you can find out where that Vigil is, he's not gonna pose too much of a problem. The main thing is that he hides from drones very, very, very well, and hides from intel very well. You can scout out generally where he's at, and he has a really good gun too. So also makes him very deadly. But once you kind of know where he's at, you're pretty much golden. And he's usually one that's good for just a 1-person roam. So let's see if we can find him right now. I think he's first floor, if I'm not mistaken. I think
we're seeing. Yeah, it does look like. Oh, we did see. So we saw in the first time they played this site that the Smoke Skelly P for the Comets is holding that blue staircase. And Ice Helix though on that Twitch drone, disabling both of the ADSs, which is going to be so good because now the Firebirds can really throw in some grenades and some explosives, hopefully taking out that shield and opening up a really good angle for the Firebirds to take out that Smoke, because Smoke is not a good person you want from this. Now we do see Quizby holding a really good angle, hopefully anticipating that Smoke, but because Ice Helix, knowing the opportunities there, pushing in and taking out that Smoke, a really, really good pick for the Firebirds there. Smoke is a deadly person in these areas. We do see, though, Ice Helix using that intel, taking a ton of damage, probably going to be playing a lot more defensively here. Using those Twitch drones sparingly, really scoping out those gadgets, hopefully destroying 1 or 2. But with those Goyo canisters, you got to be careful because when destroyed, they lay out a blanket of fire and will eat up a lot of time, because that fire takes, I think, about 10 seconds or so, 8 or 10 seconds to really dissipate. But right off the bat, though, with 30 seconds left, Quizby is planting. Firebirds holding this secondary CCTV room site. Unfortunately, the plant wasn't successful, but the Firebirds getting 2 kills there in the process. Quizby falling to a C4 kill is unfortunate, but really good. Teshi sneaking around the back for the
Absolutely perfect.
Beautiful.
There we go.
Beautiful. Teshi textbook. That was a textbook push from the Firebirds there. Quizby falling to that C4 was unfortunate, but definitely understandable. That is something you definitely got to watch out for.
Almost pulled the plane off, too.
Oh, yeah.
It was like, I'd give it even like a tenth of a second.
Oh, yeah.
If
it
even.
Really was close.
But overall, what a great push. I mean, you had that vertical play. You had people going basement very quickly, dealing with the Smoke. And it overall, just an amazing push. You had so many different lines of sight, so many angles being played, great flashes, great smokes, great intel.
And Teshi coming up from the back.
Yep.
Like that literally, that was
it's
one
the
of
whole
great,
meal deal.
Exactly. That is exactly what you want in a situation like that. on a basement push. That was textbook, I think,
Yeah.
for the Comets defense there. I cannot say that enough. I'm really happy to see that. And especially now, like we saw Quizby planting. I believe it was Xerxes and Ice Helix getting, or it might have been Xerxes and Twan getting a double kill there while Quizby was planting. Really good at evening the odds because it's like a lion drone. When you're doing something like that, the defenders are usually kind of acting a little bit like, I would say scared, but definitely going to pick up the pace, not wanting that diffuser to go off, and going to be acting maybe a little less careful. And that's the opening you want on the attack. But round 5, once again, Firebirds are on attack, evening the odds though to 2-2. The Comets running Solis, Thorn, Wamai, Kessel, and Jaeger on that second floor site, whereas the Firebirds running Thatcher, Ace, Hibana, Iana, and Montaigne. Now, Firebirds did really, I'd say, rather well on this second site push the last time we saw it. They unfortunately got several picks, or they were picked off in a few moments before they even entered site, or before they even entered the building, I should say. But they're probably playing a lot more carefully here, kind of knowing what to expect, and the fact that the Firebirds opened up that side, those reinforced walls on the side into square, is such a good choice. Having those lines of sight are going to be ideal here, and I'm expecting to see the same from Ice Helix and Teshi, especially since the Comets are not running any sort of anti-hard breach. Now, Twan using Montaigne running up that first floor of the lobby up that staircase from the lobby. Oddly enough, though, seeing Twan alone as Monty is weird. I mean, we have seen some success with Twan alone on a shield. We've seen some amazing clash plays, I should say. And you do have Teshi from the outside, kind of holding some angles. Hopefully, we can see Twan kind of push somebody out. Moving the shield, unfortunately, not able to get any shots down, but kind of seeing and forcing a lot of the Comets to scramble around. Cherry Blossom as
dear, there's a roamer.
A little bit of damage. However, the Firebirds having a roamer to deal with.
There we go.
But Xerxes better catching that right off the bat. I'm wondering if we saw Teshi from outside calling it out. But Xerxes though, getting a kill and a down, and Twan finishing off that down. Firebirds having 2 more people they got to deal with. 1 more person they got to deal with, and laying a ton of suppressive fire. Xerxes doing a little bit of damage.
I'm loving this.
I wouldn't say unfortunately. I was about to say unfortunately. I believe it was Ice Helix took like I think it was Teshi, all but like a single piece of health in that last second. But it wasn't enough to get the down or the kill, and the Firebirds going flawless that round. That, honestly, I was really impressed. I think that was...
I'm loving this.
Exactly. It was not like this for the first 2 rounds.
Yeah.
We are seeing really smart plays, really smart pushes. We're seeing them play as a team. We're seeing Xerxes covering the back where Twan pushes in as Monty. Beautiful strategies here. And I'm hoping that the Firebirds can continue this time and time again.
For sure. I mean, it's exactly what we've been asking for, and like it's perfect, and it's great synergy too. Is that you have these groups of 2 to 3 that are just really good at knowing what they need to do, and basically Monty being there to be a little bit anxious for the defenders, and also giving that intel for. Sorry, I choked on myself. I need some water. All right, but basically, for Xerxes to help him out with that.
Oh, definitely.
It's such a good thing to say.
The concern there is on this site, the biggest counter to Monty is that smoke, and it was really good that they didn't have the smoke. It was really good that they took out that Thorn, because Thorn is another really good counter to Monty. And it's being smart, playing it smart. You're not rushing in as Monty. You're kind of using it as intel, disrupting the homeogenesis, I think it's called. The homeostasis. That's the word.
I was like, wait. I think I know this.
What I just said.
This sounds familiar.
I knew it was a word. It was a good word. It sounded right in my head. But it was the homeostasis. The perfect hold, and having Monty kind of push in and just destroy him.
I'm liking these science classes.
I don't even know. I don't even know what homeogenesis was.
It sounds so smart. I love it.
In the moment, I was like I'm like, oh, this is the perfect world. They're like, oh no, it's homeostasis. Was the word. But Firebirds pushing in that first floor into the open area, cubicle area.
Last round on attack too.
Yes. Now, Firebirds, having some room to work with, but definitely having to be smart here. Twan using, I don't know why he was shooting that signage there, probably kind of disrupting any sort of trying to scare them, I bet. But using that Ying grenade, flashing them, doing a ton of damage to the Vigil, but it wasn't enough to get a kill there. However, really good distraction. I think being able to kind of stall them a little bit, and we are seeing Ying, we're seeing the Hibana open up that hatch in open area is going to be a really good hatch for the Firebirds to have. Hopefully we're going to see Teshi opening up that elevator hatch
There we go.
that I completely forget about all the time because that was only added at the very end, I believe, of last season. So opening that up.
It's always been there.
I feel like they added it rather recently.
They added, so it was right below it. They added a little bit more space, so when you drop, you're not
right.
in the middle of the entire fight. So, but that hatch, it's a notorious hatch from back in my day. I love hiding in that little room, like right on the top of it, and that's.
I gotta say,
don't tell anyone that's my roamer spot.
I gotta say, it's a very interesting strategy. The Comets using those smoke grenades onto the top of that blue stair. However, you have the Firebirds have that hatch open. So it kind of a waste there, I think, because it's like, oh, don't push into blue stair. I'm sorry. Hold up. Did one of the Firebirds just like, it looked like they almost just ran, oh, it was the Iana drone. I was going to say.
Oh,
like,
yeah, I was thinking so too. I was like, wait, are they going for the knife?
Try and get the knife kill? But it was an interesting pick for the smoke grenades to be there. The Firebirds, though, already into that server room, opening it up for the plant. Tuan is dropping into the vault, taking one of the Comets out, unfortunately getting refragged. 3-3 right now, 20 seconds left on the clock. Firebirds really having to make some plays here. The time is, especially with that Goyo trap out, you're gonna have to somehow buy a lot of time because that fire is not going away. However, fortunately, it doesn't cover to right there in front of the doorway.
I like that.
Really good place to plant because now that you have both of those walls open, they're gonna be able to kind of hold it rather well. Especially, you might be able to hold it from that hatch. So I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a Firebird there. But because the Firebirds aren't going to be holding these open walls, they're kind of just going to stay there. Xerxes, though, unfortunately, basically you could sneeze on Xerxes and he would die. He has like one sliver of health there.
Dear.
And we're going to see Vigil running around. Unfortunately,
there we go.
Getting picked because Quizby was ready for it. It is now 2v1
10 seconds
versus Quizby and Xerxes. The clock is nearing the end. Will we see the Firebirds take out Earthquake? We're going to see Xerxes ready for it and taking out the remaining defender. Firebirds are fired up. It is very clear. I'm excited to see how these next rounds go, especially now. It is round 7, which means that they are switching sides. Firebirds are now defending, whereas the Comets are attacking. This could be a pretty big change-up for the Firebirds. We could see them continue this lead, or we could see them, really struggling against the Comets' attack. It's really hard to say. What do you expect?
I'm thinking right now with that momentum that they have and just the confidence that they build up over the last few rounds, I think it's going to go well on defense. It looks like they're going basement first. Pretty solid. But yeah, I mean, with everything that they have adjusted to just for for attacking against the Comets, I think they're going to use kind of the same strategies, like just in reverse, is that they had a just great team synergy so far in those groups, and I think they're going to try and do something similar here. It looks like we got some trap operators that they're going to be using, so that's going to be extremely helpful for this basement hold.
I like the Aruni pick.
Yeah, I do too.
I am 100% shocked they're not running Kaid. This might be the first time I'm seeing a basement hold without any sort of like Kaid or anything. Now the Aruni gates might be used on those hatches, but
I wouldn't like it on the hatches.
Exactly. I don't think the hatches are the best pick for it. We're seeing it into that CCTV room. Really good placement there, especially with that Goyo canister on that wall right there. But there's no Kaid.
Yeah.
Hatch play is very big on this on this site, so I'm pretty shocked, but I'm curious how well that's going to play out. It might work out beautifully for them. Hard to say, especially now that they have a zero that they're playing against. We're going to see the Comets slowly push in through that sewer tunnel and kind of securing that server room. We do see To Kill a Fiend is going to be scoping out that blue staircase, setting up a drone, watching their flank, making sure nobody kind of sneaks behind them while they're setting up their attack here. But the Firebirds kind of spread out. We do see 3 people on the site, 1 person looking in the garage, and one of the Firebirds, or I assume one of the Firebirds is roaming. The rest of them, I lied. It is 4 people on site, basically. So We do have, I believe it's going to be Twan who's going to be roaming as Oryx. Against an Osa is a pretty good duo. I think Oryx is a really good counter to Osa. And Twan, though, immediately stopping that Zofia, which Zofia is a really good person to have out of the playing field because you don't have to worry about that grenade launcher or those stun grenades anymore. Having that explosive, that distance explosive is going to be really key to get out of the play. Now, as Helix holding that shield into lockers, watching for any of the Comets to kind of push in. Seeing that zero camera, I'm not quite sure if he was able to shoot it and destroy it. He did look like he pinged it and tried to shoot it. Now, the zero cameras are able to kind of deploy a camera through a wall on both sides and fire a laser from it. As I say that, unfortunately, Teshi is picked off by Earthquake.
There,
and Twan, though,
nice.
finishing off one of the other defenders, and Hibana nonetheless, meaning that the Comets they only have the secondary hard breach. They only have, Ying has the secondary hard breach, and Zero has the secondary hard breach, which they aren't the best because you have to get right up in there.
Yep.
And they take a long time to kind of go off. But I'm hoping that is for the best for the Firebirds. Twan still holding that weird, I wouldn't say weird, that back sight or that back flank on the Comets.
This is good, yeah.
Now, it was weird, though, that he opened up the cameras right in the middle of the whole room, no cover or anything. However, being spotted by one of the players, but we might see him kind of drop down. Ton of fire,
dear.
doing a ton of damage to the Osa. And Quizme, though,
There we
getting
go.
the revenge C4 onto Earthquake and the Firebirds taking round 7. That was really, really well done.
Yeah.
Very, very smart. It's all about, I think that's the strategy here. On this site, on that CCTV server room, it's not about not letting them push in. It's about delaying them and making it as difficult as possible to push in.
It's all about killing time.
Exactly. And when you have no Kaid, it's inevitable. But when you have the Goyo canister there, when you have the Aruni gate, you can buy a lot of time because especially if you're holding a good angle, they're not going to be able to plan.
Yeah, what was such a bummer for the Comets on the attacking side is just Twan was up there and just the amazing roam so far.
Yeah.
Is that in over in Stock's room that's what it's for. It's like it was a great roam and it just well executed too. It just it ruined the push going forward and to try and take control of those hatches and trying to like focus on the vertical play, and it kind of just let the people that went from dirt and over in blue stairs, they were just kind of stuck in that room. So the push couldn't really continue forward, and then also later on you had to deal with the Goyo, had to deal with the smokes. There's just it was extremely hard to even try and get into basement side. And Firebirds just had a great hold onto it. I have no notes.
I was really happy to see that Twan, especially as the roamer, doing exactly what you want. It's not even, and we've said it time and time again, it's great to get kills, but if you can get one kill on defense, you're set. That is what you want. And Twan, not doing it once, but getting it twice, getting 2 kills, and then being
killing
able to,
time too.
And continuing to kind of have a little bit of fun and toy with the attackers is ultimately a great choice. Now, the Firebirds are on defense on that second floor site here, running Kaid, finally, Castle, Thunderbird, Jaeger, and Pulse. Twan on Pulse is a really good choice here because you can hold that first floor and look up onto site because all of the site, I believe, has pretty much destroyable floor, and you can kind of outside of, no, I think it's pretty much all the site. You can really have a good time as Pulse if you're not pushed from below. So hopefully we can see some success there from Twan. But the rest of the Comets, we're seeing Earthquake push from the outside walls, opening up both of those castle barricades with those Hibana charges. I'm curious why we didn't see a breach charge. I'm curious why we saw.
I like that a little bit better. I mean, only taking 4 pellets in total, like that is just really well done, and takes out 2 castle barricades out of 4. I think that was well used. And it just gives a little bit more anxiety into second floor itself, because those windows. This is why I hate this map. Those windows I do not like, whether attacking or defending. It is never fun for me.
Understandable. We do see Teshi is going to be on that off angle in the elevator shaft, waiting for somebody to push around just slightly, just a little bit further. Xerxes holding that front desk area, hopefully anticipating any sort of roaming in from the lobby. And I think, I like you said, opening up those windows, it's not necessarily going to be going to get any kills. It's going to be adding that anxiety for the defenders. But we do see Twan from below using that heartbeat scanner, detecting several of the Comets players from below. But will we see it end up in any sort of kill? It does look like one of the Comets knows that Twan is there and is going to hopefully take him out shortly. But Xerxes running through the metal detector. And as I say that, though, Ice Helix taking out the Thatcher. That is such a good pick for them because they have some really good gadgetry up that they don't want to have disabled. And having Thatcher out of the play is pretty much the move. They do have to worry about the OSA EMP grenades and the grenades from Sledge, but because they're just buying time, Antoine getting a C4 kill, Quizby getting another kill there, evening it out, or turning it to growing their odds, I should say.
There we go.
Oh my gosh, another flawless round. I trip over my words, and then all of a sudden they do so much, and it just works out.
Yeah.
But what a great round again. You know, we saw the Comets kind of have a really good push. You know, opening up those windows are going to cause some issues for the Firebirds, forcing them to kind of play a lot more smarter about where they're holding these angles. But because they were able to, you know, really anticipate and stall, like you've said, it worked out for them dramatically.
Yeah.
What did you think?
I mean, we're seeing the same thing early on the first two rounds. That for the Firebirds, it's just like it's just not enough time at the end. So it's just like there's not enough time to plant. They just try to rush in as soon as possible and try to make something happen. And it's just like, it just got picked off one by one. And so the Firebirds, are, like what you said, doing great at killing that time. We're just seeing great defense so far. And right now we're at match point. So hopefully Firebirds can do one more round. I do not like this first floor. This is bringing back a lot of bad memories for me.
Yeah. This is going to be pretty scary, though, for the Firebirds. Looking at the attacking composition, we're seeing a Fuse, Ying, a Thermite, Sledge, and Zofia. Pretty much all the destruction you could possibly have against the Firebirds running Kaid, Castle Captain, Jaeger, and Maestro. Not a bad composition, especially the Captain traps. Hopefully dealing with any sort of last-second pushes or roamers or I wouldn't say roamers, back flankers, I'll say, from the Comets. However, Jaeger, you know, you're going to want that Jaeger, and if you lose any of those ADSs, you're going to have a bad time going up against the Fuse, going up against the Ying or the Zofia. You want those ADSs in play like the entire time. So hopefully we're going to see Xerxes kind of being smart with those placements, making sure that the Comets are not able to destroy those right away. And I'm very curious. That second floor, you're going to want to hold. You know, I think both of the roamers that the Firebirds have in play are going to have to work double time to really isolate, especially in that stock trading room. You do not want the Sledge or the Fuse to be able to do anything in that stock trading room. But I'm excited. We do see I believe all of the Comets, though, pushing into that second floor. It looks like they're really wanting to do that second top. But as I say that, Ice Helix taking out the Fuse. That is going to be so unbelievably good for the Firebirds. And Ice Helix, though, taking out the Zofia. So
great pre-fire.
Two of probably the worst people you got to deal with on that second floor. And Ice Helix using that proximity alarm to hopefully kind of catch off.
Oh, dear.
Oh, yeah. We're seeing the Ying throw that Ying grenade, flashing Ice Helix. And Teshi going up behind him, though, anticipating any sort of people running in and trying to take him out. We do see with our spectator vision that there are two remaining people trying to take that second floor for the Comets. Teshi, though, helping out Ice Helix, playing that eyes and ears at that point, basically, because Ice Helix is not able to look down that hallway. Hopefully catching that off. And I say that Teshi getting a pick on the Sledge. It is now so good for him. Unfortunately, Teshi is taken out, but I think Teshi served his job there. I salute him. That is exactly what you want. We see Earthquake throwing that Ying charge out, hopefully blinding Ice Helix, but it doesn't look like it is going to. I think Earthquake is taking a little bit too much time trying to take
Yeah,
out
they're
Ice
just
Helix.
trapped right
They
now
are.
at second floor, and they got to get down to that first floor as soon as possible. But even then, there's even more problems that they're gonna run into.
Yes, I agree. And a Ying, I believe we saw 2 flash charges, and a Ying has 4, so that's only 2 more. Unfortunately, Ice Helix is taken out of the picture, but Xerxes taking out the Ying. It is now 3v1, and the Capkin trap! Oh my gosh! It is always that Capkin trap. It is always so beautiful to see when it's one person left and it's the last thing on their mind.
And you wouldn't expect it second floor either. That was like that. What a great placement.
That's let's take a look at the screen. That is a weird glitch right there. It is just dark on that operator screen.
You know, the lighting department is just like, we're
yeah.
just gonna take a little
The
vacation
bank
today.
is closed. What are you talking about? But ultimately, that was a phenomenal game 1. I think the Firebirds really, they struggled. They were really warming up on those first 2 maps, or those first 2 rounds, and it really, really showed.
Yeah.
They continued after those first 2 rounds. They found that rhythm, and it worked beautifully. However, this is the same situation that's happened.
We won't say it. Hopefully, we're gonna keep our fingers crossed. But
as both teams get ready for this next round, we're gonna take a quick 5-ish minute break to kind of wait and help this transition in the next map. So we'll be back in a few minutes while we get all that situated. So don't go anywhere. Welcome back, everybody, to tonight's Rainbow Six Siege game. We are heading into map 2. I'm your host, the Bearded Man, and I'm joined by the wonderful Toner. How are you feeling after that amazing game 1?
I'm feeling pretty good. Sorry, guys. I'm feeling great, actually, though. But, I mean, that was just wonderful defense, great attacking. But the biggest thing that I really liked was just how the Firebirds adjusted. And then they just kept adjusting, and they just kept that momentum going forward. It was brilliant. I think it was just textbook after the third round. It was just beautiful. I loved it.
But and I mean, I was really happy. We were talking with the team there. They were really happy with their performance. However, going into map 2, we are going into Chalet. The Firebirds are attacking once again. It looks like the Comets right off the bat banning Osa. I find that funny because the Firebirds didn't play Osa at all. It was the Comets who were playing Osa.
But on this map, like, definitely you're gonna want an Osa for that basement hold.
Yeah, definitely a good choice there. And I mean, once again, Thatcher's still in play. We're seeing less and less Thatcher being banned.
I like that.
I like it. I like it. Adds variety. Because instead of Jackal being banned, or instead of Thatcher and Jackal being banned, it's just Jackal. And Mira and Valkyrie usually. But ultimately, I am happy with this set of bans here. What do you think?
I think it's really good. I mean, the main reason why I like Thatcher, not just because of his gadgets, is it's really powerful. Has a powerful weapon too, and just fits into any team comp just very fluidly. And I think that's mainly the problem that I say that why people just want to get him out. It's not just because of the gadget. It's a really solid thing that can work in any synergy. But I'm loving this so far. It looks like we got some really good attacking operators.
Oh yeah, but like I said before, Firebirds are once again starting on attack. The Comets are going to be on defense. Starting right away though, on round 1, the Comets choosing that basement site to hold and defend, running Jaeger, Kaid, Malusi, Smoke, and Warden. Warden is somebody we love to talk about. A direct counter to Ying, which we know and love. Tuan has had such a great time on Ying. Even against a Warden, Tuan just knows how to play Ying to the point where Warden just doesn't cause any real issues for the Firebirds. But I think the real key here is going to be that Jaeger. Looking at the Firebirds running Thatcher, Ashe, Thermite, Iana, and Ying, having 3 of those people having their gadgets basically be able to be destroyed by those Jaeger ADSs, as opposed to the Thermite and Iana, who just has those secondary throwables, you know? It does sound like our audio is once again glitching out. We apologize for that. Hopefully we can get that fixed very shortly. And as I say that, isn't going to be fixed. I was hoping. It's worked out the past. There we go.
Oh, there we go.
There we go. But we do see the Firebirds kind of trying to open up that snowmobile garage, hopefully mixing with that Thatcher. I see though getting a little bit excited and going to be destroying or being able to plant that by taking just a tad bit of shock damage. But ultimately it's going to work out, especially since they have that entire garage door opened up with 1 thermite charge. Is going to be a great time. Because now the Firebirds can really push in, whereas the Comets are going to have to really focus on anybody coming through that garage. And the trick is not going through the garage. Pull a little bit of a tricky
switcheroonie.
Switch them up there. You know, you gotta. It's like I was gonna say it's like Schrodinger's cat. You know, either they're gonna push and they're not gonna push, but ultimately one or the other doesn't work out.
To be or not to be.
I think Firebirds are gonna be taking this pretty smart. We have seen some hit or miss moments from them on this site or on this map entirely. So hopefully we kind of figure out where we can go right and where we can go wrong. But Firebirds, we do see Xerxes running or pushing it slowly but surely. Tuan taking out the Warden, though, for the Firebirds and getting another kill there, taking out Kaid. Unfortunately, Ice Helix is taken out. And as I say that, Tuan is also taken out. It is now 3 against 2. Teshi is able to get a pick there. And the Firebirds, as I say that, losing another player. It is now 2-2 all of a sudden. Just back and forth there, you know, once again. Unfortunately, the Firebirds have lost control of the diffuser, so they're really going to have to be careful here. We do see Xerxes using that Iana drone to hopefully run in and get some recon, some intelligence there. hard to say. The clock is ticking down, and it is not ideal when you don't have possession of the diffuser. But hopefully we can see it work out for them. Xerxes hopefully throwing a grenade, maybe getting a kill, destroying the shield, which is going to be really good for them. But you know, you got to be careful. 10 seconds left on the clock, and they're really not able. They're not in a good position here, especially against the smoke, who can just really stall and buy some time. But Xerxes running in and spraying and praying, and it works out in his favor, taking one of them out, and Teshi having to pull out that secondary sidearm. Will we see switching to sidearm pay off? Unfortunately not. We're going to be seeing one of the Firebirds being down in the process.
Yeah, there we go!
Oh, beautiful! Oh my gosh, Teshi, what a play! I was very concerned there, but the dodge and weave, the dodge, duck, dip, dive, and dodge working out for him. Beautiful, beautiful there. If you can dodge a Jaeger, you can dodge them all, as I like to say. So I think it worked out there. That was a little bit concerning there when you lost that diffuser, though. They had to spend a lot of time trying to get it back, and ultimately they did. Especially, you got to be careful when there's a smoke, because especially in that basement area, very close quarters, those smoke grenades can cause a lot of issues. Yeah, and it did there very slightly. We did see Xerxes kind of running in, spraying and praying despite being flashed, I believe, and getting a kill there. I wouldn't say somehow, just getting a little bit lucky there, and it worked out. And the Firebirds able to kind of come back. The odds were a little closer than I was hoping, but ultimately it worked out. And I love to see. Hopefully we can see an improvement on round 2, especially since it's going to be the same site. Yeah. They know what they're going in, especially since the Comets running the same comp as before. The Firebirds switching up very slightly. Twan going Monty against the smoke is going to be concerning. Yeah. What do you think?
Well, I mean, really, a quick thing for the last round is that it was a really good push of like opening up a lot of different lines of sight. What we've been seeing the last few rounds for attack, it did put them in a really sticky situation at the end. But I love the initial aggression. Like, there's a lot of good initial aggression that's just keeping the defenders on the toes and kind of shifting that momentum towards the Firebirds. For this, I'm seeing kind of the same thing, but also kind of like a hybrid of speed and precision at the same time. It's just like, and you had that Monty for intel too, so you kind of got a mix of everything that you could want. They can play this many different ways, so I think that's the biggest strength that the Firebirds have so far in this attack. So let's see if it pays off.
Yeah, I think Warden, you know, despite Twan switching off a Ying, is still going to be a really good pick against the smoke grenades that Ice Helix and Twan have in their arsenal. Now, whether or not we're going to be seeing a Warden be able to stand still and hold some sort of smoke, any sort of position and angle on any smoke grenade or smoke cloud, hard to say. It's not something that happens all the time, but we might see it work out. Now, Xerxes using Iana drone to scope out the other part of the basement, really making sure they don't have any sort of surprises waiting for them if they were to push in. And Twan running around, going towards Quizby's, the opened up snowmobile garage. Unfortunately, though, the electricity is still on, somehow shocking the air. But Twan is just not going to have any sort of issues with that and pushing through it. Now, I will say this. He still has to worry about that smoke, because smoke is a great counter to Monty. You know, just Monty is human, is breathing in air, and smoke grenades are the smoke. I'd say the smoke grenades, the toxic gas that smoke has, is just not going to be ideal. But Xerxes, though, getting another grenade kill, and Teshi opening up that side room is going to be so good for the vertical play. Unfortunately, Ice Helix is taken out of the picture, but because he was able to open up all of that wall, Twan, though, as I say that, getting a kill as Monty. Skelly P is the only one on site for them. Quizby is going to be planting. Xerxes trying to peek, unfortunately not peeking that long angle, and is going to be taken out. Now Quizby also taken out there. Twan versus Xerxes. It is now just Twan versus the world. Getting it down there. Will we see Twan pull off any sort of magical plays here? As Monty, hard to say. If the Comets were playing, I'll give that. Getting one pick as Monty is very impressive, especially since
I think got two. Like
Yeah,
on
getting
the
a pick
cover-
earlier.
Yeah.
But in a 1v3 situation when 2 people are aiming at you
Yeah.
and you're able to take one of them out, I'll call that a win. Unfortunately, that smoke grenade just really catching them, giving them
Yeah.
issues. Despite we saw Teshi opening up a lot of that main lobby, opening up a lot of that vertical play, was the only one doing it, like the only one playing it. And I think if the Firebirds had one more player up there, it could have gone in their favor. Ultimately, though, nothing really to be ashamed about. I think it was still a really solid push by them. I think a little bit slow in some areas, you know, Tuan having to run around and the electricity still being up. Ultimately, a few mistakes, 1 or 2 mistakes, but nothing to really be ashamed about. And hopefully we don't see basement again. But 1-1 right now in the map. The Comets are once again going to be defending on that second floor this time, running a Jaeger, Alibi, Vigil, Smoke, and Mute and Castle. Now, Alibi is going to be an interesting choice here, especially with Vigil. I think Vigil is going to be someone they have to worry about. However, the Firebirds on attack, running Thatcher, Ace, Knock, Iana, and Ying. Knock against Vigil. What do you think?
It really just comes down to gunplay. Is that both of them, they kind of take each other's gadgets in a way.
Exactly.
Is that they're very similar to each other. So really, whoever has the best aim, I'd say. But honestly, I would give a slight edge to Vigil. I think his gun is just a little bit better. While Nux is a little bit quicker, does a little bit less damage. But again, this game is one-shot headshot. If you can click the head the fastest,
Yeah.
you win. So
A wise man once said, just click their heads. You have no issue. Ultimately, far easier said than done.
Oh, yeah.
In the split, in the heat of the moment, I guarantee you, for those who have never played any sort of FPS, it is not an easy situation. And you will see, if you ever play, you will see just how difficult it can be. But players like Ice Helix and just all of the Firebirds roster do sometimes make it look easy. So hopefully it's going to be one of those situations of just having no issue. It's kind of like doing an Aim Labs run, just click the heads, click the orbs, and you're going to have a great time. But Firebirds, you know, taking a little bit of a slower push on the second floor, which is going to work out, I think is definitely something you want to be slow and steady, because you're able, you know, there's so many different angles that a Comet roamer could be hiding in, you know. But we did see they are already opening up those major holes onto site, and they are already holding that library room. And that is a really good thing for the Firebirds to have. Especially, however, I will say this, that catches me off guard. The castle wall onto the piano room is definitely something you don't see every day. Tashi, though, answering our question from before and taking out Vigil. Ice Helix, though, pushing in. Unfortunately, not able to get the headshot, but able to
There we
push
go!
in. That is something I don't do and need to start doing, is just pushing in. Once the other person has laid down a full clip of ammunition, they got to reload. And if you just kind of push in, you have the advantage and catch them off guard and have a great time. Now, the rest of the Firebirds now having that, securing that diffuser, and we see Ice Helix planting. The rest of the Firebirds need to start making sure they're catching the angle. Xerxes trying to get a grenade kill there once again. Not getting it, but they're going to be holding an angle. Tuan taking out Cherry Blossom.
Oh,
and
dear.
The remaining Comet is there, but but running away from the diffuser there for a moment and into the rest of the Firebirds. And honestly, it's just worked out. That was a great set of series of events for the Firebirds. What did you think?
I think really is that right now Firebirds are just playing like to the advantage that Siege gives you, is that destructible walls.
Yes.
And creating those openings, taking opportunities, taking those risks, is that Firebirds are just doing it all. They're just completing objectives like very efficiently, and I'm seeing so much more time at their disposal. I'm really loving what Carthage is doing right now.
Yeah.
It is absolutely wonderful to see.
But it is, you know, I think once we see that switch to defense, we might see something completely different.
That's the toughest
part. You gotta
part.
be very careful. You know, you gotta be able to prove dominance in both attack and defense. And, you know, I think you said with the destruction, having those angles, you know, especially when you're pulling a Thatcher, is going to be really good. It's going to allow you to have a great time being able to basically look and view the entirety of the site without even being on site. And I think we're going to hopefully see more of that. I think the Firebirds, though, are going to have a slightly... I mean, the Comets are running the same comp on the same site. Jaeger, Alibi, Vigil, Mute, and Castle. And I'm surprised. The Castle, while on the doorway to Piano, is something you don't really see. And I think it might... I thought it was going to catch the Firebirds off guard, but if anything, it helped them. It really just kind of allowed them to get even more cover. You got to be careful, though, because one of the Comets could come in and take it down and just kind of catch you off guard. But I don't know. I'm curious what we're going to see here in the coming moments as the Firebirds attack, running Thatcher, Ace, Nock, Iana, and Ying. The same comp. This is a repeat of the last round, I believe. So hopefully we can see the Firebirds. Hopefully the Comets don't adapt to what the Firebirds did, but hopefully the Firebirds adapt to whatever they're going to adapt. I'm not quite sure. But I'm curious. Now we do see Tuan, and I believe Xerxes pushing into that library, hopefully making sure that there are no defenders on that area, because that is a really good place to kind of position yourself. Now, we do see Tuan using those Ying flashes, running in, unfortunately getting taken out, but Teshi able to finish off two people there. Beautiful, beautiful play from Teshi there. One of them was a refrag, one of them wasn't. So Tuan sacrificed himself for the greater good, arguably the greater bit of intel, I think. But unfortunately, the slight misplay there on Ace's breaching charges is going to cause some issues for the Firebirds, not allowing them to push in as easily. It's the wall is not completely open. It's only mostly open. It's only half. But do you get that reference? Princess Bride, but thank you for trying. What? Okay.
I hate that movie.
We're gonna address that after this game, because that's a whole new can of worms that I have to talk
That's the one movie I will never watch ever again. That was a waste of time.
But slow and steady, the Firebirds still pushing in. We do see Xerxes getting a down and a kill on that Mute. Slowly but surely moving in. I'm surprised we're not seeing Xerxes take out that ADS at his feet.
Oh, wow.
Teshi, though, getting a triple kill there and going to be peeking the corner, but Xerxes just better and taking out Earthquake again. Wow. This is the most dominant I think I've ever seen the Firebird.
Yeah, this is really good and amazing knock plays. I mean, two rounds in a row, we had that little discussion, you know, who's going to win, Vigil versus Knock.
I'm not saying... I mean, you thought that Vigil was going to win
that.
Because Teshi is just on a whole nother level.
I would have placed bets on it, but wow, I am loving this. I will never
you will never bet against the Firebirds ever again.
That's it.
I'll let the record show. I have never, ever bet against the Firebirds, ever. Cue the montage of me betting against them every single moment. But I like to be proven wrong. Like, that is something that happens to me all the time. And it just because I'm a caster doesn't mean I'm correct at every moment. You know,
we're only human.
We're only human. Last week, you know, I was not expecting the Firebirds to come back and win 6 games in a row, and that's exactly what they did. Or 6 rounds.
I had a feeling. I had a little bit in my heart. Yeah, that's exactly what I said when the Vikings played. Who was it?
Wait, the Vikings?
Yeah, when was the the
football team?
Yeah, it was the Vikings.
When was the last time they did anything notable?
When they just got the greatest comeback of all history. It was like amazing.
They were in the Super Bowl? I must have missed that one.
Did the Packers?
The Packers are different. Rodgers is still on that 4-day darkness retreat, I think. But honestly, I'm curious. Anyways, back to Siege. Firebirds still on that attack. This time spicing up very slightly, running Thatcher, Thermite, Amaru,
whoa,
Iana,
I like
and
that.
Ying. Now, against the defenders running a Jaeger, Kaid, Malusi, Smoke, and Warden, the same comp that they always run on basement. I think a Maru against a basement hold is a pretty interesting strategy. But, I mean, I think the LMG is really good, especially with the secondary breaching charges could be the move.
I like it when she pushes things over by Campfire and just going up to Solarium, because it's just really good. You take control of stairs and you can push things a lot quicker. And I think that's exactly what they did It just kind of clears everything out at a very quick pace, and trying to kill that clock is, or trying to make time a little bit more efficient.
Is she a 3-speed?
I think she might be. It's
Maybe a
either she's a
2-speed.
2 or
Yeah.
she might be a 3.
For the viewers at home, Amaru has a grappling hook that allows her to enter
Got
the
a
building
hook.
really quickly. Being able to basically grapple into a window and launch yourself through it. Now, a 3-speed means their stats are in favor of speed. They're a little bit faster, a little less health. Now, a lot of times they're balancing like a 2-speed or a 1-speed if they're really tanky. But I think most of the attackers are more of the 2-speeds. But hopefully we can get that stat. It doesn't, regardless what matters, it's not about running, it's about keeping that pace. And hopefully we're going to see that. However, the Firebirds, 60 seconds left on the clock, and they haven't gotten any picks. A little bit slower of this matchup here.
2-speed.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry, that took a minute.
It did take a minute. Regardless, doesn't really matter because we're seeing kind of more of a slow and steady pace instead of a type of fast, gas, step on the gas tonight.
Oh,
A
no.
little bit of a fast play there. However, Twan running and pushing and throwing those Ying grenades, flashing everybody in sight. Will we see the Warden, though, prove that dominance in that worth? Probably. Unfortunately, the smoke grenade is going to be cleared and not going to be any issues, but the smoke is going to cause some issues. However, Twan is not going to let the smoke cause any sort of issues for them and is going to be able to get a pick. Xerxes following that up with a double kill there. Unfortunately, Twan falling, but a 4v2 is a really good margin to have for the Firebirds. Diffuser being planted means the clock is ticking down, and the Firebirds are at the advantage. Icy Helix taking out one of the Comets, and it is only one Comet remaining.
There
and
we
Icy
go.
Helix finishing them off. Well, they turn the corner. It's going to be a great time for the Firebirds. That was a beautiful push. I think a little bit slow there, but not even the slowest push we've seen. It was slow in the sense of they had like 60 seconds to work with, but as I said that, they only took like 20 seconds to really push on a site.
It's very
So,
efficient. Very efficient.
Exactly. Now, round 6, it is the last round for the Firebirds on attack. What are you expecting here?
Well, this is going to be on first floor, one we haven't seen so far in this, or at least today.
Yeah.
And this one is going to be a lot of vertical play. You're really going to want to try and take over second floor as quickly as possible without any deaths,
Definitely.
or at least trying to keep all your health in one place. A lot of traps. We're seeing a Legion, a Frost, and a Smoke.
Is this officially Trap Op 6? The Comets on defense running a Frost, an Alibi, a Legion, a Smoke, and a Wamai. I don't think quite isn't technically Trap Op 6, but is close. A lot of defensive strategies to be played here, especially with that Legion. The Smoke, though, is definitely a person you got to worry about because, as we saw before, can really cause some issues as you try to push in. But Frost laying down all 3 welcome mats on that one window onto site. Now the welcome mats on Frost are just bear traps. So, you have one person who throws smoke grenades and causes a noxious gas. You have somebody with a hologram. You have somebody who has a bear trap. Which of those would you rather have to deal with? Hard to say. Ultimately, I'm in favor of
None of
the thing
them.
that can hurt me. Well, they can all hurt me. Not the one that can clamp and basically chew up my leg. But the Firebirds on attack, running a very unique comp that we haven't seen yet. Running a Lion, a Flores, an Iana, an Ashe, and a Ying. Now, Flores is great on this map, and I'm really happy, especially against this comp. Flores is a dominant force, being able to destroy a ton of things that the... unfortunately,
no.
Teshi getting a grenade kill on himself.
Held it a little bit too long.
That is the first one we've seen of this season, though, I believe, for the Firebirds. So, no shame in there. It's got to be one. It happens a lot more than you would kind of want to admit. But ultimately, I think Iana being out of the picture isn't the biggest loss. It's a loss, but not the biggest loss for the Firebirds. They just kind of have to put a little bit more of a one foot in front of the other and walk through that door in a sense and have a little bit more of a speedy time. Flores, though, is going to be trying to place down that Flores drone and take out some of those shields and open up some holes in the walls. Unfortunately, though, Xerxes was taken out of the fight there. Ice Helix, though, is just deploying drone after drone after drone.
Hopefully getting the frost mats.
Hopefully.
Oh.
Probably not seeing the frost mats, though. Delay, just hesitating there for a little bit. And unfortunately, the drone was shot and destroyed. Now, that's the downside with Flores is you gotta commit. You don't have much time to work with, and you're a big target for somebody to destroy. So you just can't think. It's like Top Gun. Just don't think. Don't think, just do. And it works out sometimes. 50% of the time it works. I feel like half of the quotes of mine are just movie quotes for some reason.
Because they're the best quotes of all time.
I hope so. But Tuan holding that library staircase, using the Ying charge, noticing somebody's there. Will we see, probably kind of causing some issues for them, is really pushing them.
There we go.
They ran away, and that is the last thing you want because, as we saw, Tuan is just going to peek the corner and unload a ton of bullets into your back, causing some issues for you. Unfortunately, Quizby is taken out, and Ice Helix not able to take out those remaining bear traps, but Ice Helix rotating, and oh, this is really coming down to the wire. Tuan getting a triple kill there. Will we see Tuan get this last kill? Will we see it? It's flash. I can't see anything. Oh. Oh my gosh. I think there was the flash grenades. I have a feeling Tuan was flashed and couldn't see anything in that corner. That could have been really good, though. That was a really, really close round. No shame in that. But I think, honestly, the things that did go wrong there was no shame. I think Quizby falling to that person in library was just because they missed that little bit of a, pixel of turning in a sense. They thought that corner was clear and it wasn't actually. But hindsight's 20/20, and ultimately now we are on round 7 and switching sides. Firebirds now on defense, whereas the Comets are going to be on attack. And I gotta say, Firebirds starting on first floor is a very interesting choice. What do you think of that?
Well, I just say, it's been working for the Firebirds so far. They have gone first floor a bunch of times every single time we're playing Chalet, and they're really good at this vertical play. They have a really good strategy to defend this, and while I don't prefer it, it is my least favorite side. I love Kitchen a lot more, but it works for them.
Yeah, and looking at the Comets' composition against, it is going to be a Flores, Ying, Sledge, Knock, and Thatcher. Ying is going to be causing some issues if they are going to be holding that second floor. Knock is going to cause some issues with those flanks, and Flores is going to be able to open up and destroy a ton of gadgetry. Firebirds really going to have to be on the edge of their seat, making sure that they kind of defend against all of that, because if they're really not holding any of these angles and really watching for some of these things, they're going to have a bad time.
For sure. That's pretty much all I'm thinking of. Is that, yeah, it's, so far it looks like they're going to be pushing in from second floor on the balcony, and hopefully they're going to get this ramped up. Yes. Opening up the big window.
Now we do see that Knock is pushing from the basement upwards, and using that gadget is going to be just nearly silent as they walk through. Now one of the Firebirds, I believe it's Teshi, oddly enough, is going to be pushing in through that basement, maybe missing that Firebird. No, it is the Alibi, actually, oddly enough, who's not someone you see as a roamer all the time, but fortunately is able to escape before any of the Comets kind of really, are able to push them. I think quick response time is exactly what you want. And because this site is kind of right next to some main staircases, it's not going to cause any sort of delay before they return to site. Now, again, Thatcher is definitely someone you got to worry about. And Sledge, if the Comets are able to take and clear library, it is not going to be good with that Sledge, because Sledge is going to be able to open up that entire floor, allowing the Comets to play just complete vertical play. But fortunately, Xerxes taking out that Knock, gaining the Firebirds a little bit of a lead, and taking out that Flores. That is a very, very good person to have out of the fight. Unfortunately, Quizby falling. Earthquake is going to be peeking through that window,
dear.
Taking out Teshi. 3 against 3 right now. But Ice Helix holding a really good angle on that library staircase, waiting for someone to push forth and take out one of the Comets. However, because he shot that drone, kind of alerting Earthquake, who's pushing through to their location. Now Xerxes holding that fireplace lobby, maybe just a slight pixel away from seeing somebody. Ice Helix taking out Earthquake, though. A really, really good pick there. However, Xerxes is going to be down in this process. It is a double kill, though. All of a sudden, Ice Helix getting a double kill there. And it is now just Sledge versus Twan and Ice Helix. Twan and Ice Helix, I believe, are the top fraggers
There
for
we go.
the Firebirds, and Ice Helix proving his dominance once again, getting the triple kill there and ending the round. Firebirds increasing this lead more and more. However, I'm noticing a lot better pushes from the Comets. It's a lot of a closer rounds here. You know, we're seeing a lot more of a 2-to-1, 1-to-1, or whatever. So it's definitely anybody's game at this point.
Yeah.
And we have seen comebacks come from much less than this. So Firebirds really need to continue playing to the best of their ability.
Yeah.
And I think they're kind of maybe getting a little bit slow or lacking on some of this communication.
Yeah, I say the big thing right now, the Comets, they're very good with their gunfights. Mainly the Firebirds, what they're beating them to the punch is just placement. And if the Comets can like work around that, then I think it's going to turn into their favor. So the Firebirds need to be definitely very careful about that. And also just looking again, we saw there's like some of the Comets weren't even in the building yet. Still watching for their teammates, watching their behind. They did have a roll. But it was about a minute ago, and it's just like there's nothing that's really being opened up. That site is still pretty heavily locked down. There's some rumors running around is that there's a lot more things that the Comets had to deal with that Firebirds just had in their control.
Definitely. But I'm hoping that we can see kind of a better, a continued defense from the Firebirds. However, Firebirds on this defense on the second floor, which we've seen some issues in the past from them. We do see Kaid, Aruni, Wamai, Oryx, and Frost on their composition. Pretty solid comp for the Firebirds against the attackers running a Montaigne, Ace, Sledge, Ying, and Thatcher. Thatcher is not somebody you want on this site because it's going to allow them, as we're seeing here, to open up a massive wall on the site. So I'm curious.
What's interesting is that there's 4 of them on the balcony right now. That's
I think they're very much committing to this side push, which we do see one of the Firebirds, I can't quite make out who it is holding behind that fireplace. A 4v1, you know, when you are basically holding 4 people against you, and we do see, unfortunately, a Ying trying to push in from behind. So they're kind of, they're having to deal with all angles of attack. So hopefully another Firebird can kind of come in and help and assist in some way. But ultimately, you know, they might be playing it for just a stall, a delay.
yeah, and already it's taking a lot of time off the clock.
Exactly. And we did see it looked like the Thatcher trying to open up that side, the side wall. But I don't know. I'm not quite sure if it was just if they weren't able to breach in time, or it was that Firebird who was able to destroy. However, the Firebird running away, and oh my gosh!
Oh
so
dear.
The Firebird, I believe it was Teshi, was kind of being forced behind that fireplace and was running away, missing a lot of the shots. Unfortunately, falling, but Xerxes was there behind them, behind all of the Comets, not able or only able to take out one pick. Ice Helix, though, getting a really good long shot, long angle, taking out one of the Comets, and it is 3-3 right now, and a lot of time has been burned off the clock. Unfortunately, we're seeing the flash grenades cause some issues for the Firebirds, but Ice Helix is able to down the Ying. Will we be able to see the Firebirds finishing them off? Unlikely, but maybe the Comets are not gonna risk it. If they go for the revive, they're gonna be kind of slowing up their push quite a bit. However, we do see one of the Comets kind of running around, trying to rotate to that side balcony push. Twan holding a really good angle. Ice Helix taking them out of the fight. It is now 2 against 3, and Twan, Ice Helix, and Quisby holding really good angles. Unfortunately, Quisby falling, but 8 seconds left on the clock. It is now Twan versus the rest. Will we see Twan? Twan getting the down on one of them. Will we see the diffuser being destroyed or being planted? We will, but we're gonna see Twan. Oh my god! Oh my gosh! He gets it! He gets it! Diffuse, diffuse, diffuse. Oh, beautiful! Beautiful. No.
Oh,
What
there
is he doing?
he wants the kill.
Okay. It's risky, but because he knows the diffuser was planted very shortly there, I will not be against it because he just kind of knew. He knew he had the time to rotate around, get the kill.
Hey, you gotta make the KD look as good as it can. You know.
I mean, but you're Twan, so you don't have that issue. Twan is such a dominant player, having a high KD.
Oh yeah.
All the time.
Yeah,
Just
but
increasing
now it
another.
looks even better by one.
Right, it went from 7.0 to 8.0.
And now we're at another match point.
Match point for the Firebirds, a repeat of last round if the Firebirds are able, or last map, if the Firebirds are able to take this out. Hard to say at this point. They do have that momentum going for them. I have a feeling. What do you think? If you were on the Comets side, what is going on in their minds? What would be going around?
A lot of nerves. A lot of nerves because a lot of things are working for them. It's just the Firebirds. It's positioning right now. Is that the gunfights are still very good by the Comets, but just the positioning and the angles that the Firebirds have, that most of the fights that the Firebirds are taking, the Comets don't even know that the Firebirds are there.
Very true. But like I said, I mean, that last round especially, getting very close to the wire.
Yeah.
This is not a close match. It is. I shouldn't say it's not a close match. It is a close match. You might. The round difference is a little bit of a large margin, but the actual rounds are coming down to those 1v1 game or gunfights, and that is ultimately, I think, what the Firebirds really excel at is the mechanical skills. And I'm hoping that is a thing that we can continue to have. Looks like the Firebirds running that kitchen and dining room site on the first floor.
Oh, that is weird.
It's a very interesting strategy, but they're holding that second floor as well, which is it's high risk, high reward. You know, when you have nobody on site, you do have to worry about that. But ultimately, looking at the Comets' strategy and the composition is a very, very special composition. You have a Blitz having that flash on that shield. You have a Ying, more flash. You have Sledge able to open up vertical holes. You have a Monty able to take so much of a damage, and you have Fuse who's going to be able to open up that vertical play even more. However, Xerxes taking out the Ying and taking out that Fuse. Will we see the Blitz be able to be taken out? Unfortunately not. The Firebirds really having to figure out what they need to do to take out this Blitz, because they cannot afford to keep having people being picked off one by one. However, it is now a 3v2 in favor of the Firebirds, so if they can take out this Blitz, I think it's going to be smooth sailing, because Blitz is a very dominant person you do not want to have to be fighting against. We do see that triple kill there for the Blitz, tying it up 2-2. The Ice Helix is kind of ready for that Blitz, but not able to get any sort of good shots onto them. Sledge is nowhere to be found, but probably opening up some of those vertical holes. Firebirds, this is very scary, you know, because Blitz, I think, is just a very bad person you want to have against in these odds. You need to be having a majority of people to deal with the Blitz. Now, Ice Helix aiming for the feet, doing a ton of damage, but not able to see it. Unfortunately, a quad kill there for the Blitz, but he just needs to be sneezed on. It is now Teshi versus the Blitz. Will we see it work out? We're gonna see. It looks like we might be seeing the Blitz kind of push forth.
Yep.
But we do see Teshi knowing, and we do see that the Firebirds are making that call out, knowing where the Blitz is, and it doesn't look like the Blitz is gonna be pushing or planting. I almost don't want to talk and kind of just lay down the sound.
Yeah, this is scary.
Very, very scary. 40 seconds left, so a ton of time to be played. If I were Teshi, I would push from above. You know, if you know where that Blitz is, you can fire through the ground and take them out. Because that Blitz can't really defend from above. Or if you're attacking from above, can't be defending. Now, we are seeing the diffuser being planted. Teshi gonna have to push in at some point, because this time is not gonna be a good thing you want to deal with. However, Teshi seeing the feet, trying to go around. Will we see the shotgun go? Oh, he gets the down! He gets the down! Oh my gosh! Teshi plant! Diffuse! Don't cheer! No celebrating until it's over. The Firebirds, Teshi coming back, winning a legendary 1v1.
There we go.
Firebirds going 7-2 for map 1 and map 2. What a comeback after weeks 1 and 2 being such a very close back and forth. You know, a big struggle in some cases, but the Firebirds playing phenomenally this map. Just a beautiful all around from every single one of the Firebirds. I think one of the best performances we've seen from this team to
most definitely.
date. What did you think, though? What did you think of like their performance? What do you think they did right?
Everything across the board is just so much more fluid. We saw great synergy throughout this entire night, and definitely more confidence. It's just like overall, it was just clean across the board of how much improvement there was from even just last week to this week. And I was so happy to watch it happen. I was like, this was a very strong week for the Firebirds, and great opponents as well. Comets played extremely well. We saw great gun plays and great strategies. It's a bummer that we didn't get to see more tonight.
Yeah. Now, I think there was a lot that they could work on going into the next week, you know, especially that Blitz getting 4 kills. Now, Blitz is like one of the worst people to do a 1v1 against.
Mm-hmm.
Like everybody else, not a great time. But ultimately, I'm excited for it. We are going to take a quick break while we get ready for that post-game interview, but we are going to be interviewing the one and only Teshi, one of the best matches we've seen from him to date. So I'm very excited. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with hopefully Teshi in the interview seat. Welcome back, everybody, to our post-game interview. Your Rainbow Six Siege team, the Carthage Firebirds against the University of Texas at Dallas. One of the greatest games I've seen from our Siege team to date. 7-2, BAPS 1 and 2, pulling off some amazing plays. But one player especially joining me is Teshi. How are you doing after such amazing game-winning plays tonight?
You know, I'm feeling pretty confident. I knew that coming into this week I had to be a little bit more confident on my swings, being a little bit more aggressive, getting a little bit more aggro, and we knew as a team that we had to clear out much quicker. That was one of our pregame talks. And I think that I was able to contribute to that very well and get some important kills to win some rounds.
Definitely. Now let's focus on that last round especially. It was I believe it was like a 3v2, and then just coming down to you against the Blitz. The Blitz being a very, very bad operator to be playing against. Just a very dominant force, especially with that shield. What was going through your mind in that 1v1?
So mostly when I was in that main lobby, mostly my plan was just to waste the time. I knew that he couldn't swing me without jumping that rotate. So I don't have to hold an angle there. I can let him push me. And if you saw, I was trying to keep my distance because obviously Blitz, one of his strongest things is the flash. So just trying to avoid that flash. And then when it came down to the last, I saw him run into trophy. So I switched to my shotgun, and I know that wall is soft. So I just blast a shot through there, and he was down.
We were cheering, and we did see you kind of paused there for a bit, and we kind of assumed you were cheering, but we were very scared. We were like, don't cheer just yet. You still have to finish the game. But ultimately, we were very impressed with that. Definitely something that I could never do, and I was really happy to see that. But overall, like maps 1 and 2, this is a victory that we have not really seen in the past 2 weeks. What was different today for your team than the past weeks?
I think we just knew what our problems were. I think the first 2 weeks were kind of getting it together, and we talked about how we can prove that we can win. We know exactly what to do. It's just coming down to the executing part. So you've probably noticed on both maps when it came the time starting to come down, our executes were much cleaner. They looked more coordinated than just hopping in the window and trying to win a gunfight. So it really just came down to knowing what our weaknesses are and how to fix those. And I kind of explain it as like gears turning together. The first 2 weeks they were kind of rigidy, but they finally clicked, and obviously that's what it shows.
Very much showed.
Yeah.
You know, I think the only 2 rounds that were not a very close round were the very first 2, and we kind of just said that was a warm up. You know, because you guys proved yourself after that you were ready, you were at peak performance, and ultimately it really showed. Now, map 1 on Bank, we have not seen Bank from you guys at all this season so far. So what was going through you guys' mind? Were you concerned about seeing a map like that?
Yeah, I'd say we definitely a little bit concerned. Our comms towards the beginning were a little bit clanky, you know, very chaotic. But after that pause went in for the rehost, even though we didn't rehost, we were able to speak amongst us, the team, and kind of just figure out what exactly we want to do. The first 2 rounds, like you said, were kind of like a warm up. We were trying to just figure out how to attack more so, and we got it down. And then all it came down to was the executing, and obviously we got it down after those first 2 rounds.
It was quite beautiful to see just how much you guys were able to kind of the gears were suddenly turning all of a sudden. And I think it really showed just throughout the entire night. It really showed your cohesion, and you guys are really playing together as a system. It's not necessarily a team; it's a full-on system. You're having each other's back, and it was beautiful. I think there were only a few rounds where we really had any sort of notes for you guys, and that was simple notes of, you know, maybe it was a little bit slow on this push, but I was really impressed from the casting chair of what seemed to be a dramatic improvement from previous weeks. It's still previous weeks you guys did really well, but like going into next week, what is something in the games in the future? What is something you guys are really confident and you're really happy that you have together already?
Definitely the defense. If we all know as a team we're more of a defender team, and our defense is our strongest. We usually know what we're doing already. It just really comes down to the communication and all that. So going on, we know our defense is good. So I'd say points to improve on, again, those comms, clearing them up a little bit, and then obviously attacking, getting like this week and these past 2 matches, getting in quickly. Getting that map control, and then just going from there.
Now, you know, I think definitely just it's good things to definitely work on. But ultimately, I think it's good to celebrate tonight. You guys definitely earned it, and hopefully next week you guys are going to really work on those small things to really change up. But I think that is all I have for you tonight. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you.
It was so great to watch you guys play tonight, and especially some of your performances. To the viewers at home, thank you so much for watching tonight. We'll be back on Thursday night at 7 o'clock for your Overwatch 2 team playing Purdue Boilermakers. I'm really excited for that match. I will be back in the casting chair with my co-host Flair for that. So be sure to follow us on all of our social medias at Carthage Esports for more info on all of those happenings. Thank you again for tuning in and watching. Have an excellent night, and I hope to see you on Thursday.
The high wheat then shoves that right over to the Lions half. Looks like this one's going in. Are you kidding me? Don't over behind. We're gonna see the barrage. The barrage.
Oh my gosh, NECC is just dominating right now.
What a play!
That's disgusting.
Oh my gosh.
That was disgusting.